Hello, and welcome back to a special edition of How We, called Digging Deeper. Last week on How We discovered how the actors prepared for their roles in Macbeth. This week, we'll be learning how the director prepared for her role.
I'm Sabrina Maristella. I am directing Macbeth. I have a background in dance performance in theater, and when I was an undergraduate here at AU, I fell in love with reading. I really enjoyed reading Greek plays and Shakespeare plays, and as we were talking about what we can do to better help our students, Shakespeare came up, and plays came up, and drama came up. We tried one, and now we're on our third right now. It's been a lot of fun. I love Shakespeare. He's so good at knowing human nature that actually in like the Soviet era in Russia, they banned all Shakespeare works because they believed that no one man could know that much about human nature. When people think of Shakespeare, they think of like stuffy, grand, like high theater. It should be a really relatable thing. We can always relate to being in a place where you feel completely at a loss and you don't know what to do. I was hoping with our productions, it was a more accessible start to that, because AU theater is incredible and it is amazing, but more like a reading group come to life. We're really just talking about characters and getting into character and being part of a team. I do encourage all of my students to do AU theater's productions if they are thinking of continuing on past this, but I was hoping we could be kind of a stepping stone to that. A place where people could go and do Shakespeare where they might never have that opportunity again. If you've never done something like this, I think people should get experience doing as many things as possible. I would be surprised to find another theater that would allow you to do Shakespeare with such a low commitment, with what I hope is just a safer environment, a place where you can make mistakes, and it's totally fine because we're all making mistakes. You know, we're all learning here. And with people who believe in Shakespeare, because a lot of the time you'll find theaters, some people will be like, we should do Shakespeare, and then they all go, ugh. It's a heavy lift, it's difficult, a lot of people think that modern audiences won't go for it. They do. They really do. People like Shakespeare. And even if you don't like performing, that doesn't mean that you won't like it when you're done. It's a great set of skills to have, to be able to sympathize with another person to the point of becoming them and acting as they act, I think is really important when we're talking about developing into a fully fledged human being. After background research, we cast the show, and then I like to do a read through, and I like to set the schedule up, which can be a little challenging too, because I don't ask everybody to come in at once. So I'll say, okay, this group of people, you have a lot of scenes together. We're gonna get together on Thursdays. And we work through the text, and we do blocking, which is, deciding where people stand, how they move on stage. We explore it together, and as that's happening, I am nailing down sets. I'm deciding what times the shows are going to start. I'm coordinating with the different theaters, gathering props and things. We casted the leads in May so that they could get a jump on memorizing the lines, because it's a lot of lines. We met a few times over Zoom in the summer to just kind of talk through the text, talk about character building. And then I held auditions for all of the other parts pretty early on in the semester. For some of them, it's going back to the basics of breathing technique and diction and what it means to analyze a scene. We have actual stage combat in this show. We had a little workshop where everybody got trained in stage combat, even if they were doing it or not, just so everybody knew what was going on and everybody can be safe. We've had fight rehearsals for that kind of stuff. If they have a spark and they're not there yet, usually I take a chance on them. If I have two people that I really like for a role, I generally reach out to them and I say, I like both of you. This play, we have two Lady Macbeths because they were just wonderful. And Lady Macbeth is one of those roles that's transformative for a young actress. Usually, I do like to take into account what they want to do. So we had an actor come in who loved the character Malcolm, had written an essay on Malcolm, and in this play, Malcolm is the king's son, and not the lead, and he came in, he's like, I really want to be Malcolm. And I knew him, I'd worked with him before, and kind of before he even read, I was like, yeah. A lot of them are fairly untrained, and we start from the ground and we build up, and usually they're really great about it. I like to be honest with them. I believe in them. Like, I really, really do believe in them. I think this is something they can do. I would never put anyone in a situation where I thought they were going to fail. But I also know that that might require a little bit of teamwork. I recognize where growth is happening. If people come in and they're not very good, I don't look at them and tell them they suck, but I tell them, you're a little new at this, and we're gonna get you some skills to help you, especially with something as vulnerable and exposed as theater. It's not like you can hand in a paper and pretend you didn't do it. Like, this is you're standing there. I like to tell people what they're doing right. If I'm only giving them corrections, it's no fun for anybody. So I tell them what I like and what I think they could do better on. I try to help them understand why they need to do better at this thing or why they need to slightly tweak this. I give them tools for how they could get there, and sometimes I just walk them straight through it. I have the luxury of not needing to make money on these. If it's 2 days before the show and they're still struggling on something, you know what? They know that. I don't need to tell them that. A lot of the time, what we're exposed to is a lot of receiving, especially in college. Like, someone is telling you what to do and then you do it. You have to learn, when you really get into acting, is just imagination. You go, well, I read it this way and I think this should happen. And then I always challenge them. I say, do it different. And then they kind of look at me. They're like, there's no way I could do this differently. There is, though, because we all kind of put on airs for people. You have to get out of that. You have to say, okay, I'm not a person who would ever roll around on the floor, but this character would. And so I have to get over myself and roll around on the floor. Friendly to new people, friendly to existing people, friendly to each other, friendly to the audience, friendly to the text. I don't know how I found the world's most friendly theater kids, but I did.
Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to keep a lookout for our other upcoming videos. Be creative, try something new, and we'll see you next time.